Welcome back to the Aubergine Chef. Now that the weather is warming up again, it's almost summertime here in Virginia, I'm going to go ahead and start doing my frozen dessert recipes again because I just love making ice cream in the summertime. Now, I'm not a super expert at it, but making homemade ice cream is a lot of fun. It's really, really easy to do, especially once you have an ice cream maker. And there are ways to make ice cream without ice cream makers. Just recently I saw this video. I'll put a link on it on the video so you can push the button, hop over there. They made a basic ice cream by freezing the base in an ice cream tray so it froze really quickly, and then popped it out, put the rest of the ingredients in a food processor, and blended it all together. Now, I'm not sure how well that came out, but it is an option for those who don't want to spend the money on an ice cream maker, especially if you don't make ice cream as much as I do. But we're going to make lavender berry frozen yogurt today. Now, this is a recipe that I developed in school. Basically, we had the frozen yogurt recipe, which was a blank palette. It was just like, here's your frozen yogurt recipe, now you need to flavor it. And so what I did was I decided to make lavender berry frozen yogurt. And it was funny because my chef, he tasted my yogurt, to critique it, whatever. He's like, reminds me of my grandma's house. And I was just like, that's actually not the first time I've been told I was a grandma. So, but I like it. I've always liked the flavor of lavender. You want to be careful when you're using lavender. You want to make sure that they're edible flowers because a lot of times, sometimes they have them for aromatherapy, and sometimes those flowers were treated with pesticides. You want to make sure that yours are not treated with pesticides. Same thing for rose petals and such like that. Always want to get them from a food source. You can usually get them online, or you can find them at specialty spice and food shops. If you're having a hard time finding lavender, you can get them from a tea shop usually, and you can just pull them out of the tea bag or the loose leaf tea. But the one I got it from was up in Massachusetts, actually, called Sid Wainer and Son, and they have a ton of these spices that come in these sizes. But usually commercial spices or commercial restaurant suppliers will usually have lavender, or at least a lot of spices for you to use. But anyway, you can use whatever flavoring you want, of course. You can use vanilla extract, you can use lavender oil. You don't have to use the lavender flowers if you don't want to, but I'm just going to use them up. And for the berries, I just have mixed berries. I have blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries, and I just have them here. I rinse them off in a colander or in the package, and I just threw them out on top of this paper towel to let them dry just a little bit. It doesn't have to be super dry. I'm also going to use a little bit of strawberry. I just took two of the biggest strawberries I could find in the package and just chopped them up into little bite-sized pieces, and that's pretty much it for that. We're also going to macerate the berries in some port wine, which was actually my chef's suggestion, and I actually really liked it. Now, I'm not a huge wine drinker, I'm not a huge wine connoisseur, so I don't know a lot about wines, but I do know that port wine is a great dessert wine, and a lot of people appreciate the sweeter taste and the richer taste than a lot of the wines that are used, or paired, I should say, with entrees such as meat or fish or chicken. So we're going to use this to give a little bit more depth to our berries. If you don't want to use wine, substitute it with grape juice. It works the same way. Now, if you are using wine, remember that it's an alcohol, and alcohol inhibits the freezing process because we are going to freeze it in the ice cream machine. Same thing with sugar. So you don't really want to increase the wine or the sugar in this recipe. Feel free to decrease it, but if you increase it, it gets to the point where the frozen yogurt won't freeze anymore. So just stick with the recipe if you're going to use alcohol or wine. And again, it's very customizable. Just switch out the berries, the spice, and the wine, and switch in your own flavors and your own ingredients. Very, very easy to do, and it's very easy to make. It's not going to be a very long video at all. Okay, so the first thing we need is a cup of mixed berries. I'm not exactly sure how much that's supposed to weigh, so I'm just going to go ahead and weigh out some mixed berries, try to get a nice even amount. And I'm going to have a lot of berries left over, but that's okay because I can just make fruit salad or whatnot. Okay, so I have a little bit over a cup and a half. It's fine. And that comes out to be about 6 ounces of fruit. Then we need 2 teaspoons of lavender flowers. Just throw that right in. And lavender is really, really potent, so you really don't want to use too much more than this. Otherwise, it'll just taste like soap. And lavender is just so light that 2 teaspoons doesn't even really register as a weight, so just do teaspoons. For port wine, we need 1.5 ounces. Okay, and then just half the sugar, so about 2 ounces. And really, all you need to do to macerate berries is really just sugar, because what macerating really means is that it's pulling the liquid out of the fruit and making a liquid with it. But I like to throw in some alcohol in there, so it's kind of marinating at the same time. So really, we're marinating the berries, not macerating the berries. But macerating sounds much more fun. Okay, go ahead and give those all a good toss to mix all the ingredients together. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and let this refrigerate, covered with plastic wrap, in the refrigerator for at least 4 hours or overnight. Alright, so after your berries have macerated in the port wine sugar mixture, we want to go ahead and get the rest of our ingredients together. Now in this big glass pitcher, I have 1 pound 8 ounces of whole milk, 8 ounces of plain yogurt, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, just eyeball it, and 2.5 ounces of granulated sugar. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to strain our macerated berries and their juice. Okay, we're just going to strain that juice into there, and we're going to go ahead and whisk this all together. Alright, so you want to go ahead and prepare your ice cream attachment or your ice cream maker. I'm using my KitchenAid attachment. For this bowl, you need to freeze it for at least 15 hours. I freeze it for like a good 2-3 days, so it's nice and solid. You want to work quickly because what happens is as it warms at the room temperature, it becomes less and less cold, and it happens pretty quickly. So go ahead and put your entire frozen yogurt base into there, and then quickly put your dasher in. Bring it up, and we'll just turn on low speed. You never want to go faster than low speed. We're going to go ahead and let this work for like 10 minutes or so, basically until and when it starts looking like soft serve. And what we're doing here is we're incorporating air, and we're mixing all the ingredients together, and it's freezing it while it's churning it, so we're controlling the crystallization of the ice crystals in the frozen yogurt as well. So that way we're getting a specific texture that we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and let this work for about 10 minutes or so. Alright, so it's been running for about a good 10 minutes now, and you can see that it's gotten some nice texture to it, and it's also gotten a little bit more in volume. It's increased in volume, and that's because of the air that's being incorporated into the frozen yogurt. And that's called overrun or overage. And that overage can affect the texture of your ice cream. Now, for us at home, we won't be able to get enough overage into our ice cream or our frozen yogurt or whatever we're making in order to make a huge difference, because usually commercial applications, because of the way that those freezers work, that they can just stay cold forever. This bowl is thawing out at room temperature as it's working, so that's why we can't get a ton of overage in there or overrun, but it's a good amount. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out because it's starting to warm up and it's starting to soften. Alright, let's go ahead and pour your frozen yogurt right into a chilled bowl. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and fold in that 1 cup of berry, and a little bit more of that juice if you have it, and the lavender. Fold that all in. We fold it in so that way we don't lose the integrity of the berries, unlike if we put them on the mixer. Okay, and we're going to quickly get this into our container. Take a piece of parchment paper, place it right on top. This is going to prevent ice crystals from forming on the top of your ice cream. Alright, and we're just going to go ahead and let this freeze for at least 4 hours, but overnight is best. Okay, it's been overnight since I let my lavender berry frozen yogurt freeze up. Now, it's not the perfect texture that I'm looking for a couple reasons, and I'll get into that in a minute. But first, let me show you what I've done here. I've taken the almond lace cookie, which I've actually made in episode 1, way back when I first started the blog, and I rolled it around a chopstick, a greased chopstick, to make little round tweel-like cookies. And we're going to use that to help garnish our desserts. I just added some berries that I've used in the fruit as well, or in the ice cream as well. And when you're making those cookies, you want to make sure that you roll them up while they're still pretty hot, because otherwise if you let them cool off too much, they're not flexible anymore and they'll just snap. So like I was saying, the texture of my frozen yogurt is a little bit icy, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the frozen yogurt, or the yogurt that I used, was fat-free. If you want to make yours a little bit creamier, you can use just a splash of heavy cream, or replace some of the whole milk with heavy cream, and that'll make it a little bit creamier. Or you can use full-fat yogurt if you can find it. And there's our frozen yogurt ready to be served. And you should always try and serve your ice cream with something crunchy, so that way it has a little bit of texture in it. Shortbread cookies work really well too. Alright, so that's how you make your lavender berry frozen yogurt. Again, it's a very easy recipe to make. It's a very easy recipe to customize. You just need some way to make the frozen yogurt frozen, such as like an ice cream maker. So anyway, I hope you learned a lot today. Thank you for watching, and remember, the Aubergine Chef, demystifying dessert, one recipe at a time.